Every driver who's run the Mojave in July knows the feeling. The dash reads 115, the AC is fighting for its life, and ahead of you the road looks like wet glass. You don't want to shut down out here, you just don't want to be stuck. And on 6 stretches of American highway, stuck in the summer heat is exactly where the real danger starts. 6 highways ranked bad to worst, where summer, not winter, is the season that gets a trucker killed, stranded, or sent 300 miles around. Every entry carries a hard number from a named source. Cal Fire, California's fire agency, ODOT, Oregon's Department of Transportation, the National Park Service, and a recorded incident with a date and a place. This is the map your weather app can't give you. There's a stretch of American highway where, if you go down from the heat, the aircraft that's supposed to come get you legally cannot take off. Not won't, can't. The air gets too thin and too hot for the helicopter to fly. So for much of the day, this country's most extreme road is on its own. In July of 2024, that happened to a rider caught out on it. The temperature grounded the helicopter. It broke a record from 2007. We'll get there. Let's get into it. Number 6. We start on a stretch of Interstate 5. I-5, every West Coast driver knows, but not for the grade. This is the flat run south of the Grapevine, a steep mountain pass on I-5, the part where the hills look dry most of the year but easy to handle. Late August of 2022, a record heat wave had been baking Southern California for days, and those hills were dried out like fire starter. The root fire broke out on August 31st, right beside the interstate, through the Castaic Canyons. It shut down both directions of I-5, the West Coast's main freight route, over Labor Day weekend, the busiest travel window of the whole summer. Cal Fire's numbers: 5,208 acres burned. Closure points at Vista del Lago and Lake Hughes Road. 7 firefighters were injured from the heat fighting it, while the road stayed closed for a full week. Picture a driver heading north on a hot Labor Day Friday, trying to beat the holiday traffic out of LA. He's scanning the hillsides because the radio's been talking about smoke for the last hour. Then the red brake lights spread ahead of him, one rig after another, until the whole northbound side is at a standstill. The only thing moving past his windshield is the fire line on the ridge, creeping closer. The survival move on this corridor is simple. Treat any high-risk fire weather day in late August as a real fire closure risk. The hills beside you have been cooking for months, and one spark is all they need. That's Labor Day weekend, and the only thing moving was the fire line. Number 5. That same heat-dried brush pattern shows up again 1,400 miles north, on the main freight route through the Pacific Northwest. Interstate 84 cuts through the Columbia River Gorge, that narrow canyon east of Portland where the cliffs rise straight up on both sides and the wind pushes through like a tunnel. In September of 2017, a 15-year-old threw fireworks into the canyon during a burn ban. The Eagle Creek Fire caught and tore through the gorge walls, closing Interstate 84 for over a week. Crews had to remove 2,000 trees that were ready to fall onto the road, and then they found 1,500 more that needed to come down. But the real danger to a driver didn't end when the flames went out. The fire stripped the slopes bare, and that's when the rocks started coming. Around Toothrock Tunnel, the burned area, the burn scar, meant every heavy rain sent loose rock and mud sliding down onto the pavement. ODOT, Oregon's transportation agency, spent over a year cutting, putting up fencing, and lowering the speed limit through the tunnel just to keep it open. The court ordered that teenager to pay $36 million to make things right, a number that will never be paid. Nobody's ever going to collect it, especially not the driver burning fuel on the long way around. Now picture rolling past Toothrock Tunnel a year later. You see the fresh fencing and the bare dirt slopes above it. And you know, the next hard rain could mean a rock the size of a large suitcase sitting in your lane around the next bend. The survival move: respect those lowered speed limits through the tunnel for years after a fire, because the mountain doesn't send a bill. It just drops the rock and lets the repair costs pile up. So that's 2 fire closures on major freight lanes. Which one have you actually run in July? And did you sit or did you go around before it hit? Drop it below. That's how I'll know who actually made it this far into the list. And if you want the map before the engine light comes on, hit subscribe. Now, back to the list. Number 4. The next stretch has closed in 3 different years from the exact same summer, and 2 of those closures had nothing to do with flames. Interstate 70 through Glenwood Canyon in Colorado is that narrow, cliff-walled stretch where the interstate is basically a shelf cut into the rock. In August of 2020, the Grizzly Creek Fire, started by people, burned 32,631 acres right through the canyon. Interstate 70 shut down for 14 days. That's how quickly a fire can shut down a critical corridor. It opened again and then closed again on the same day from the fire starting again. A year later, in August of 2021, heavy flows of mud and rock off that same burned area poured onto the highway and shut it down all over again. And that's not counting the rock falls, one in February of 2016, another in July of 2021. 3 separate summers, 3 separate closures, all from a single spark that started it all. And I want to be fair to Colorado. That canyon is a work of art built by engineers, just built in a place that wants to burn. Picture a driver out of Grand Junction headed east. He hears the canyon is closed again. He pulls up the map, and the only other way is hours of winding 2-lane that won't take a heavy truck. So he shuts down and watches the clock tick while his load sits. The survival move. Any summer with active wildfires in western Colorado, plan for a multi-day Glenwood Canyon closure because the burn scar will shut it down months later. When Glenwood goes down, you wait, or you go the long way. And the long way wastes your driving hours like a bad dispatch call. Those 3 roads all went down the same way. Summer heat dried out the brush, one spark ignited it, and a freight corridor disappeared. But the next 3 don't need a single flame. The heat does the job all by itself, and it starts with a stretch where the temperature doesn't just close the road, it turns the stopped traffic into a trap. Number 3. We're on Interstate 15 now, north of Baker, where the world's tallest thermometer isn't a tourist joke. It's a warning. On July 15th, 2025, a semi loaded with 25,000 pounds of rubber tires caught fire on its rear brakes near Zzex Road. California Highway Patrol shut down all northbound lanes. Firefighters reported 120 degrees on the scene. The shutdown lasted over 8 hours. Think about that, 8 hours in 120 degrees. And somewhere in that backed up traffic, a gray BMW was broken down in lane 1. At 4:14 in the afternoon, officers found the driver, a 68-year-old man named Marshall Roland Rubb, out of Shafter, California, not responding, and he could not be brought back. God rest him. The cause of death was listed as natural causes, but it happened in a stopped lane in 120-degree heat while a fire department handed out water bottles and Gatorade. Picture yourself in that backup. The dash thermometer is ticking higher. Your AC is cutting out because the engine's barely running, and you're moving a few feet an hour. You've got a gallon of water beside you, and you're hoping it's enough. The survival move on this stretch is to treat any full stop in summer as a life safety event. Make sure the engine coolant, that fluid that stops overheating, is full before you hit this run. Carry more water than you think, because between Baker and Zzex, a breakdown isn't a small problem. It's a race against a shutdown that turns your cab into an oven. Rubber tires burn, the road cooks, and the help that does show up is carrying Gatorade, not a tow truck. Number 2, the last item trapped you in a stopped lane. This next one doesn't even need the road to close. The ground itself is the weapon. Phoenix, Arizona. Interstate 10 runs right through it. In 2024, Phoenix hit 113 straight days of 100 degrees or hotter. 70 of those days hit 110 or above. And when the air is that hot, the road soaks it up like a frying pan. Phoenix pavement can reach 180 degrees, the same temperature as an open flame at the point of contact. The Arizona Burn Center took in 136 severe contact burn patients just in July and August of 2023. 14 of them died. Those are lives lost to the ground itself. One of those patients was a 71-year-old man named Robert Woolley. He fell onto the hot pavement and got severe burns across more than 15% of his body. He spent 5 months in the hospital. Now picture the most ordinary thing a driver does all day. You hop out on the side of the road to check a tire, kneel down to look at a brake line. You don't realize for a split second that the skin on your knee is already burning. By the time you stand back up, the damage is done. Second degree, maybe worse. The survival move here is as required as a safety stand, used when changing a tire. Wear knee pads and gloves from May through September. In Phoenix, the road surface isn't pavement. It's a contact burn waiting to happen. That ground's been baking all day at 180 degrees, and the only thing between you and it is a pair of jeans that won't save your knees. We've gone from fire to a traffic jam to a ground that burns you like a hot stove. But the last one tops all of them, because it doesn't just take away the road, it takes away the rescue. That's next. Number 1. The lowest, hottest place in North America, where the thermometer numbers aren't weather, they're physics. California's Route 190, Death Valley, California. On July 6, 2024, the temperature hit 128 degrees, breaking a record that had stood since 2007. 6 motorcycle riders were moving through Badwater Basin. By the end of the day, 1 rider was dead of heat exposure. 1 was sent to Las Vegas with severe heat illness. 4 were treated on the scene, and the medical helicopter that should have come for them never took off. The National Park Service confirmed it. Aircraft cannot safely fly above 120 degrees because the air gets too thin for the helicopter to fly. The same heat that was killing that rider grounded the only machine that could have saved him. In Death Valley, Furnace Creek holds the 130-degree record from 2020, the highest reliable temperature ever recorded on Earth. The ground surface there hit 201 degrees back in 1972. Picture a solo rider pulled over on Route 190, dizzy, watching the heat rise off the pavement in waves. He knows that even if he pushes the panic button, the sound of helicopter blades won't come, just the silence of a safety net that physics has cut. The survival move here is the last move that counts. Your AC and your engine coolant are your rescue plan. Stay with a running, cooled vehicle. Treat any breakdown as life safety, and I stand by it. Because in Death Valley, summer doesn't just create emergencies, it turns off the emergency response. The helicopter can't save you because the air that's cooking you alive is too thin to hold it up. 6 highways, and the pattern couldn't be clearer. The first 3, Castaic, the Gorge, Glenwood, all went down because summer turned a mountainside into fuel. 1 spark and a freight corridor disappears. Then the last 3 showed you something worse. The heat doesn't even need the spark. It can trap you on Interstate 15, burn you from the ground on Interstate 10, and on Route 190, it takes away the aircraft that's supposed to come get you. That's not a closed road. That's the whole safety net gone. The men and women who run these stretches in July and August, they're hauling through an oven the rest of the country forgets by morning. They deserve respect for it. Veterans, what's the summer stretch you watch the radio and the thermometer for? The one where you top off the coolant before you even leave the yard. Name it, the state, and what happened the year it got you. We read every single comment, and the best ones become the next list. And if this video saved you a night on the side of the road, hit that button so the map stays alive. Until next time, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. That's trucker code for keep your rig upright and yourself safe.